It was Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I had gone a little bit early to help out my mom in Manhattan. And I was doing what any good son would do, trying to fix things. So the first thing I was trying to fix was her printer, which wouldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. 4 hours later, I failed. Then I tried to get Wordle on her iPad. A couple hours later, I failed. Then we walked to the corner to get a PCR test, and I failed. I mean, we got that, but luckily she failed and she didn't have COVID and all was good. And then I was going to meet Sharon and Matan, my wife and son, who were driving down from Boston to meet in Brooklyn. And I figured there would be a lot of traffic on Wednesday, so I had lots of time. And sure enough, instead of the 6.5 hours it took us to get back on Sunday, they're just flying down, and Sharon's texting, telling me she'll be there at 3:05. So I'm like, oh, I gotta hustle. And I look up on my phone the schedule for a ferry. I was always excited to take a ferry and actually go somewhere that you need to go, not just kind of spazier around, to see something interesting. And it turned out the ferry was stopping right at the meeting place at 2:56. Perfect. I walked down the East River to 34th Street, not far from where my mom lives, got on the ferry, and it was just beautiful. The buildings were all around. I bathed in glorious sunshine, and I was just having the time of my life on the roof of the ferry. Suddenly, the captain says, "This ferry is being taken out of service." I looked around the other people. They're like, whatever, we're here on vacation. And I'm like, no. I've got to be there. It turns out the ferry then went to North Williamsburg in Brooklyn. So at least I was on the right side of the river. And the captain said, everyone get off. So we got off. And I looked at my Google Maps on my phone, and it said, well, you could walk there in 17 minutes. Or you could take a Lyft and get there in 26 minutes and pay like $35. So I'm not like, I'm no fool. Of course, I'm going to walk. And so I start walking south as fast as I can, going to Brooklyn Heights and the Brooklyn Promenade where I'm supposed to meet them. And everything's going great. I'm really walking with a heavy coat and a backpack, and I'm schwitzing a little bit. I'm keeping walking. And suddenly, the time is going up. It should be going down, and it's going up. And I realized that the app was directing me back to the water to get back on at the next stop of the ferry, which doesn't exist anymore because it's been taken out of service. I'm in a little bit of a panic. So I start walking through Williamsburg. There's like an ultra-Orthodox housing neighborhood. No one's looking at me. On the other side, there's like a massive pyramid of shipping containers. And I don't know what to do. So I call for a Lyft. Finally, I relented. I even paid for expedited service. Tia's going to pick me up in 6 minutes. I'm looking for Tia. She's 3 minutes away, around a couple of blocks. And she stops. The car isn't moving. I get a little worried about Tia. Something happened. Maybe she, God forbid, had a heart attack or something. Maybe she stopped for a cup of coffee, but the time is not moving. What could I do? Nothing I could do. I was stuck. I figured if I ordered a new Lyft, they would like throw me out of the app or charge me a lot of money. No one would ever come to get me again. So I was just stuck in my own personal nowhere. The Parsha opens with a very similar moment. Well, not exactly the same, but very close. Jacob's on the run, not from a ferry, but from his brother who wants to kill him. It's scary. and he needs to get away as fast as he can, leave his homeland, journey to Haran, the land of his mother's land, and he hopes to find refuge there, a wife there, and build a family. He seems a little bit disoriented. He just tricked his father into giving him this special blessing. His brother, who's a very skilled hunter, has announced he's going to kill him, and he's running about to a place he's never been before. And we can feel in the text how lost he seems. He finds himself in the middle of nowhere, and then the Torah says, "Vayifga b'makom." He comes upon a place, or more literally, he runs into a place, or he's attacked by a place, by somewhere. He's tired, he's exhausted. He takes a rock as a pillow and lies down and goes to sleep. As many of us know, he has this famous dream of a ladder going with angels going up and down. And when he awakens from his sleep, Jacob is a little bit more refreshed and renewed. And he says, "Achen yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh, v'anochi lo yadati." God is surely in this place, and I simply didn't know it. There is something divine, something incomprehensibly spiritual about this makom, this place. Now, what is it about this place, this makom, which becomes this ligvort, this repeating word in the text? What is it about this place that has changed Jacob? The rabbis say it's not an ordinary place. They connect it to the foundation stone, the rock upon which all humanity began. Then they connect it to the binding of Isaac, saying this is the rock where Abraham brought his son. Then they say it's also the location of where the Holy Temple in Jerusalem will be built in future times, a place we can go to today next to the Kotel in the old city in Jerusalem. It's a mystical place where the spiritual, emotional realms and the physical world we inhabit somehow connect. When Jacob awakes, though, none of those things are there, and presumably he doesn't know about any of those rabbinic midrashim. It's just him and a rock in the middle of nowhere. And he's in the same situation. He's still on the run, heading to some unknown journey with a degree of fear, unaware of what his destiny will be. But something has changed for him internally. This pause has helped him move forward. I love the nuanced meanings of the word situation. I don't know if you've ever thought about this. The word situated means the place where one is. And the word situation is the circumstances in which one finds oneself. Jacob becomes aware of the situation he is in, and he realizes that he can't control it. But he can bring some awareness, pausing in this place. The mystical Hasidic tradition asks the question, where is Hamakom? Where is this place? Where is this place that God can be found? Where is this spiritual place? And the Hasidic masters answer, it's whatever the place where we let God in. It's the divine and spiritual moments are not simply about changing our surroundings, though sometimes that can really be helpful. But it's about changing ourselves. It's about letting a different experience settle in so we become situated a little bit differently. I want us to think about the words that we say to mourners. What do we say to mourners during the Shiva, the 7-day period of mourning? Hamakom yinachem etchem. May the place console you. And it's a really interesting phrase on many levels. I always thought about it as, may the one who's in all places console you, right? Even in a place of loss, places of happiness, a joyful moment like this one. In all places, right, we find this presence, God's presence, this spiritual presence. But I want to offer another way to look at this phrase this morning and think about the word hamakom. Another way I think to look at it is to fully understand our situation. And maybe the visitor to a house of mourning, maybe us, when we walk into that house, we're not merely saying, may you be consoled from something else, but we're inviting the mourner to see that consolation comes from seeing the situation in which they are in differently. That consolation actually comes from an internal process. That the ultimate consolation actually comes from understanding where we are in our lives and in that moment. Mourners can't control the death of a loved one. If so, they wouldn't be mourners. But slowly, with the help of others, with family and friends and community, they can hopefully come to a measure of acceptance, which over time can lead to a degree of healing. And I think Jacob does this. He accepts his situation. This is where he is. And now he's able to move on from there. He does it in a very dramatic way. A few verses later, Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How full of awe is this place? He's aware that there's wonder in every moment and in every place. It's anywhere that we are. That is the place. When we pause, open our eyes, open our ears, and appreciate a moment, even a challenging moment, or maybe especially a challenging moment. Those are the places that can be the most powerful. So back in Williamsburg, there's like Yiddish buses going by saying Vishnis and other things. A woman walks by and turns her head. I wasn't dressed inappropriately, but I was a man. Anyway, I stopped. I took off my backpack, took off my coat. I breathed and I paused. And after a couple of minutes, the app started buzzing, or I looked at it, and sure enough, Roberto was now being sent to pick me up. I really hope Tia's okay. And sure enough, I got to the destination, and an hour later, Sharon and I are strolling along the promenade on the river, watching a glorious sunset. Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How full of awe is this place?
Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How full of awe is this place? Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How full of awe is this place? Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How full of awe is this place? Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How full of awe is this place?
Thank you to Cantor Louise Treitman, and Shabbat Shalom.